Good evening and welcome back to RitterCast, the Ritter House Productions podcast. As always, I am Vinny.
I'm Chris.
I'm Lee.
And together we make Ritter House Productions.
Crazy.
As always, we have a topic on hand, previously randomly selected.
Selected.
Are you well?
This is the accent that I will be having the whole night.
Oh.
Here it is in this little envelope. Have you seen it?
I mean, I've seen the envelope.
Have you seen what's inside the envelope?
No. Isn't it sealed?
No.
Oh,
It's folded over.
I'm a fool. I should have checked earlier.
I'm the master of ceremonies here. I will see what we have here. Topic of the night is web horror.
Ah.
Which I think is something that we're all very, very familiar with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something we're quite immersed in.
Yeah. My immersion.
My immersion.
Oh, no.
Where's Alex and Ed when you need him?
Yeah.
Where is he? Where's Alex?
Chair real quick. Just so I can...
We're good?
There we go. Much
Everybody's
better.
good?
Hey.
Okay.
Hey.
So internet horror. What do we know about that stuff?
It's expansive and weird.
It is.
We sure know plenty about it.
We do.
Here's my thought. We could go about this a couple ways.
Sure.
We could talk about things we really like. We could talk about some of the more like obscure things maybe that people haven't heard of. That's probably the route I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I have a couple things little gems that I have found over the years that I would
Absolutely.
I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, and you know what? I'd like to throw in a few of those too. And also, I think that I just kind of want to bounce off of what you guys have. Because I do partake in internet horror, but not I don't seek it as often as I know you guys have in the past or, may still do.
Well, I think each of us kind of is into different realms of it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think all of us have some unique things we can bring to the table
Absolutely.
for sure.
So
That's
let's just start talking internet horror.
Sure.
Hey,
Well,
what were you going to say something?
Go. I
Go.
was going to say something.
Go.
Well, Vin and I were having a conversation mere moments
We
ago,
were.
in fact, about one oddity that we'd like to talk about.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you do the talking.
All
but
right. So,
it's very cool.
a couple of years back,
Yes.
Chris introduced me to a live stream. This live stream was of I'd say she's like mid-20s.
I think she's older.
Mid-20s. Oh, really?
She was. I think she might have been like late 20s, maybe early 30s.
Okay, maybe
even.
early 30s.
I know exactly
Because I
what
think
you're
she's
talking
middle aged now.
Oh, okay. So a younger woman. She was Korean, and we knew that she is Korean by the fact that she has Korean writing up. I think there's been a couple. Like it has been alluded to.
She even had a Korean flag.
I was just say there was some stuff
Yeah.
like the Korean flag.
Yep.
So we assume that she's Korean, but they'll deal with this. What was it? Chip Chan.
Yes.
Was what it's called. The deal with this is that there is a 24-hour live stream of her apartment.
Yep.
And she claim, or was this something that was just sort of thought of by the internet that somebody comes into her house?
These were her claims.
Okay, so her claims were that
Yes.
someone releases gas into her home, correct? Or drugs her in some way.
That's where the chip comes in. The Vera chip.
See, so this is. I'm going to let you take over.
Okay, sure.
For now.
So this woman, she has this 24-hour live stream.
Yes.
You can tune in, like do some research.
Now.
You can find
It's been
right
13
now,
years.
right now. Go and watch her.
She's been live
Yeah.
streaming for 13 years.
Let me just suggest
without stopping.
Yes,
Yes.
we were
Correct.
looking at a Tumblr
that
that's
kind
sort
of
of yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. We were looking at a Tumblr that sort of aggregated all this content and all these leads, and that was chip-chan.tumblr.com. Check that out if you're interested.
Yeah.
Follow along with us. But it has been 13 years, and Chris is going to explain the chip, which I don't remember.
Right. So I know the narrative that she was saying. At least this was the narrative back when I discovered her. I think in years since, it's apparent that she's probably mentally ill in some regard, and that this is kind of this bizarre, elaborate, fabrication that she is, told.
Perpetuated, yeah.
Yeah. But it's very fascinating. So her claim is that there's a product called a Vera chip, which is implanted usually into prisoners, under their skin, in order to track them. I'm not sure how frequently that's used in the United States.
Right.
Probably more often than we'd like. But, it's a product that exists in the world.
Yeah.
And there was a shipment, interestingly, around the time that Chip Chan started her thing, there was a shipment of Vera chips to South Korea. And what she claims is that one day, a police officer, a corrupt cop, which she calls P, if I remember correctly, just the initial P, initially broke into her home and then implanted one of these chips under her skin. This chip, not only does he use it to track her at all times, he also is able to control her sleep patterns.
That's it.
With this chip.
Yeah.
Which is one of the other weird things about it, is that she tends to sleep
for like 15 hours.
Upwards of 15. I think like the most that I've heard of was like 30 or something. Like really seriously, just out there, for a very long time. So, I mean, my guess is some form of narcolepsy, some kind of sleeping disorder, something.
Even then, that's absurd.
It's still very strange.
Yeah,
regardless. So it's a weird story all around, and no one knows the precise details. It's still relatively a mystery. But
and a lot of it, she doesn't speak. It is all, if I remember correctly, it is all through like these like flyers that she sort of hangs up around her room. So people went through and translated, or people who spoke Korean translated.
I remember she also had a YouTube channel for a while where she actually did speak.
That was very early on, right?
It was very early on.
It's gone now, or
it might still exist.
I don't know.
But she doesn't upload.
Well, no, she hasn't. She hadn't uploaded when I initially found her back in like 2012 or whatever it was.
So it was a long ass time ago.
Yes.
This was, you showed me in what, 2013 maybe, 2012.
2012, I think, because this was really like early on in our friendship.
That's fascinating. That's really weird.
Yeah, and I'm pulling up some information too, just so we can figure it out.
It's a really, really strange story. And the most fascinating thing about it is that this live stream exists, and kind of the purpose of the live stream. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
For sure. And the purpose of the live stream is the strangest part, because a lot of times people who are, let's say, like paranoid schizophrenic or something like that, they don't like the idea of surveillance or like of people watching them and things like that. But it seems as though she has put this up as some kind of preventative measure, like to protect her.
Right.
Like she wants people watching her all the time to like make sure that nothing happens to her.
Right. That's so weird.
Wow, and it does seem
very eerie.
It seems like a lot of people have really leaned towards the mentally ill angle, which of course I believe that.
Yeah.
And just for those of you who may not be
Google
into
right
this
now.
sort of stuff, it does look like she had live streamed a couple of suicide attempts.
Really?
So that is quite heavy.
So that's been since. Yeah.
There's 2 hanging. She's tried to hang herself twice. Apparently, it was not successful. But that's a warning. That is a warning. That is not something. Yeah, this was as of May of this year. So it may have taken a very dark turn that is no longer fun. But I remember at the time it was very interesting because it was something you really had to piece together.
Yeah,
that's really
so
eerie.
Stay away from that if you're not into watching someone spiral apparently at this point. But at the time it was very interesting. And it's still, there still has its aspects of interest, but
it's still a bizarre story.
Yes, it's still a very bizarre story.
And obviously I actually do know that people had tried to reach out to her even then.
Yeah.
People were emailing her, people who, spoke Korean and things like that were trying to reach out to her to find out what exactly was going on. But I remember it was difficult to actually, she had an email address up for a little while.
Has she responded to anybody?
I think maybe early on, but I don't know. Again, like this, my knowledge is several years old at this point. I don't know what the more recent developments were, but I was there kind of when the the internet community on the whole discovered this live stream.
Right.
And the live stream itself is quite an oddity. On the internet.
For sure.
It's very strange.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, and just going to mention also the lights turn on and off by themselves, or like without her flipping on the switch and stuff. And she has said, someone is controlling my lights, my sleep schedule, my eating habits, everything.
Yeah.
So, according to her, she's held prisoner.
Very strange.
Although somebody said that they recorded 16 hours of live stream, and at some point, an elderly couple did poke their head in.
Yeah.
And said something to her and then left. So there are other people who check in on her at least once in 13 years. She has been checked in on by someone who is not this mysterious cop that she claims. Yeah. So very strange, very bizarre, very
That's
strange
really
story.
weird.
Yeah.
Hey, So in the vein of internet horror videos specifically, I want to give a quick shout out to. We're not talking about the Slenderverse here, so I'm not going to give out any Slenderverse shout outs here.
Okay.
But I want to give a shout out to a really awesome YouTube series who I'm fortunate enough to know the creator of. It's called Hi, I'm Mary Mary, which is Slenderverse inspired, but very much not Slenderverse.
Yes.
It's really awesome. It's got some incredible effects. It's actually quite eerie and creepy, and it's very, very. Not analytical. It's very up for interpretation.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of subtext and a lot of.
Now I've seen some of you showed me some of it, and I thought it was really interesting because there was virtually no dialogue, if I remember correctly.
She starts talking later on.
Okay. But what I saw, I really liked that, and it was like sort of her own insecurities that were manifesting.
That's definitely a way to interpret it for sure. I haven't actually talked to her about what it means. I don't think she would. She'd probably David Lynch it.
Yeah.
But the gist of it.
Please elaborate.
No. The gist of it is there's a girl named Mary, and she's in a house. She's in what appears to be her parents' house, but no one is home. She cannot escape the house. The windows don't break. The doors don't open. She's there completely by herself during the day, but at night there's other things in the house with her, and it's very Silent Hill-esque, and it's just a story about her dealing with the fact that she's completely cut off from everyone and everything.
And I have a fun story about that, just in that briefly, in that I saw a Nightmind video about this, that I know that he had recently discovered that. And I remember back when Unfiction was still a operating website.
Back when it still existed, before it was nuked.
Yeah, I actually found her series through that.
Yes.
Years ago, I remember I subscribed to the channel just when there was like one or two videos uploaded. And then I had unfortunately forgotten about the series because I don't know how familiar y'all are with YouTube subscription service, but it sucks.
Yes, it's terrible.
Yes, it does.
It totally imploded on itself. It used to be a functioning service where when a channel that you liked and subscribed to would upload something, they would notify you.
Yes.
You think it's a simple thing, right?
Ever since they updated their layout, it got fucked.
Yeah, but so even though I was subscribed, I never once was notified that any more. So I had assumed it was just like
dead.
One of these dead series that pops up for 2 seconds and then it it disappears and it's gone.
No, she's very much
so
still
then
uploading.
when I found the Nightmind video, I was like, oh my god,
yeah,
I know this,
and it's very cool. I mean, it's really, she does excellent work, and I mean, she wishes to stay anonymous, so I'm not going to give any things about personal details, but it's just a really, really excellently done series, and like if y'all are looking for some creepy shit to watch, check it out on YouTube. It's called Hi, I'm Mary Mary, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and from what I saw, I mean, I didn't get very far into it, but I really enjoyed, like, the
effects
were good.
Really impressive.
Of course, I like isolation and what that does to the mind and personality.
Yeah.
That's very much my
right up your alley.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm definitely going to watch more of that once I catch up on the rest of my backlog, everything I need to watch. I have another scary.
Ooh,
sure.
What's your scary?
This one isn't a video. This one is a game that I know we've talked about at some point. It's not really a game either. It is more of an interactive. What they call it is a pixelated nightmare. Now, this was released in October of 2012, I believe. And I cannot remember the art director's name, but it's Ivan something. And the whole premise of this is it's a game that you share it with someone else.
Right.
At least at the time. I don't know if they charge money for it now, but at the time you share it with, I would give it to Chris. Chris would save it to his computer, open it, and play it. And the whole point of the game was running away, and it's a very sub-Minecraft level 3D graphics, like Doom or Wolfenstein, more like Wolfenstein 3D. Where it's,
and what's the name of this?
I'm Scared, all one word. And the whole premise was you running away from this thing called Whiteface. Now, once Whiteface catches you, you're kicked out of the game. The game shuts down completely, and the root folder of the game changes. And Whiteface is contacting you through the folders in your computer, and it gets more and more surreal, and you see different imagery in the game that once you're kicked out and Whiteface jump scares you, there's like a poem or something related to it in your folder. Like in a text file.
Does it?
Or it changes.
Does it change your background at one point? Or no?
It does change your background. I don't want to give away all the scary stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it is one of those things that
Yeah.
if you shut the lights off and you play by yourself, it gives you that little goosebump feeling because it's something that there is no escape from it. Once you are out, there is still something telling you play again, try again, and it's literally saying play again, try again. You haven't found it all, or it's changing your background, or it's doing other things to your computer itself. Very strange. I've never seen anything like it before or after.
It's very cool.
But it's very cool, and it's nothing as far as the story goes. It's nothing groundbreaking. There's not much to it. It's a lot of jump scares. It's a lot of, rope and what are you going to do to yourself sort of thing.
Right.
But the way it's delivered, the way it's packaged, is pretty crazy.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And
So I'm Scared is available on Game Jolt, and I knew that it sounded familiar to me because I have spent some time on Game Jolt. That's where my own games are hosted, and so the creator is named Ivan Zanotti.
Perfect.
At My Madness Works, which I believe
My Madness Works.
Yeah, is the name of the studio.
That is the studio. Yeah,
It's very cool.
Of course, indie developer. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it is at the same time very crazy.
Yeah, and that's super rad. I mean, I love a good horror game.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are not a good amount of good ones out there.
True.
No, there's not, and it's
I feel that.
Amnesia is a good one.
Amnesia
is good. And everyone
First
hated.
one, anyway.
Everyone hated. I was gonna say everyone hated on Machine. What was it? Machine for Pigs.
Well,
I liked. It was a walking simulator.
Yeah.
But I actually enjoyed the story it was trying to tell. It was fun as a walking simulator could be.
I mean, I think the reason everyone hated
Atmosphere.
Machine for Pigs so much is because it took out the things about the first one that made it so terrifying.
See, I didn't like the first one.
Really?
Not all that much. It was very. I mean, there's only so many times getting caught can be scary,
Right.
Because it's a video game. So once you get caught a few times and you're like, oh, spooky, it loses its luster.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person who gets caught a lot. So after like the 20th time of getting caught, it's just frustrating and there is no spooky factor at
Here's
all.
the thing, Amnesia never. So I downloaded it like early on, like when it first came out.
Same.
And I can never get that far into it, and I never did because I just was too spooked.
Really?
Because there's something
It's
about
intense.
the interactive nature of a video game that I find much scarier than
for
actually
sure.
watching like a film or something like
sure.
that. Because you can just be passive and just sit there and watch as all this frightening stuff happens to you.
But when
in
you're
a movie.
controlling it-
But when you're controlling it, the thing is, I don't want to like walk into that room
Right,
and
right,
get
right,
scared.
right.
So literally, I don't. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Nice.
And so what happened
Just
was
hide in the
I played
closet
it
for the whole game.
yeah, so like I just played it for a little while, and the atmosphere I thought was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I got like a ways into the game, not definitely didn't complete it or anything, but I just remember there were so many times of seeing that little movement out the corner of my eye or whatever, where I would just get so fucking spooked.
Oh,
like
man.
it actually like is at least at the time that was back in again like 2012 2011 something like that, but it was really really scary.
This shit reminds me of not a internet game, but Alien Isolation, man.
Ooh,
That
yeah,
game is
very similar.
terrifying. That game scared the hell out of me. I've never been so tense playing something, especially because like your controller becomes like it's on PS4. Your controller becomes part of this like the experience with you to the point where like your controller becomes like, you ever seen the movie Alien?
Yeah.
So like the motion tracker thing they have?
Yes.
That becomes your controller. So your controller's pinging as things get closer to you.
Ah,
It's
interesting.
because PS4 controllers have a speaker in them.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it's terrifying. And
Oh,
it's
that's pretty cool.
flashing and pinging as things are getting near you, and you're just freaking horrified.
Oh, that's cool.
You can
That's
even
cool.
set the game to that where it utilizes the controller's internal microphone
Right.
to recognize your own breathing, and things can find you based on how
Yes.
heavily you're breathing in the room.
Wow, that's cool.
And it's just very atmospheric.
It's so
regardless,
good.
it is.
Yeah.
It is one of the
One of the better horror games I played. Yeah.
criminally underrated game.
Yeah,
as far
interesting.
as like commercial success goes, everybody loved it.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
who played it and reviewed it loved it, but
Yeah.
just didn't get much out of it.
Very interesting.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna
I was just gonna jump back into like web horror
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as opposed to video game
games.
land. So there were two, like since you mentioned Hiya Mary Mary,
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about I've seen quite a few YouTube horror web series that that are not necessarily related to the Slenderverse. Things that at this point are quite old. They're both from 2012, I believe.
Okay.
But I think they're very, very interesting. The first is called YT Recordings. Or I'm sorry, Recordings YT. I'm sorry, that's what it is.
Does YT stand for YouTube?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And it's actually very hard to find on YouTube. Nearly impossible, I would say.
Really?
What you have to do is just Google Recordings YT, and then you will see a Twitter account, which was made for the channel, which is now just titled Recordings. And you can go on there and watch their series. It was never completed, I don't think. But it's a very, I thought it was very interesting. I mean, like, again, it's in line with the Slenderverse, you know, kind of videos. Right. It's obviously, you know, it's low budget. It's, you know, made by a small number of, you know, like young creators and stuff like that. But I think, especially if you kind of like, if some of our audience is longing for that kind of like, you know, the heyday of, you know, like the Slender Man, you know, extravaganza, this is that minus Slender Man, and it's new takes on their own little stories. So Recordings YT is about a group of people being stalked. I believe it might be a cult. Something like that. I can't remember exactly. I remember they wore animal masks, and they and it was actually really cool. And that, you know how there was that kind of like Where's Waldo effect going on in early Slenderman videos.
Is there that?
A lot of that.
Ooh, I like that.
You can really scan the frame and look for it, and then at the last second, go, there it is.
Ooh,
you know?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check that out later.
Yeah, it's really cool. So that's one, and then another one that I know was active when I was first starting my series, which is called Experience of Evil, which is just a straight up ghost story, just a ghost story, but done in a pretty interesting and compelling way. Again, now that series I believe was completed. They did finish that one several years back. And again, it started around the same time that I started my series, so it was in that kind of like, you know, zeitgeist or whatever. And it's really interesting. I remember there were certain episodes that definitely had that spooky quality. I think especially overall, if you miss that kind of atmosphere of going into a video, you have no idea what's going to happen next. You have no idea like what to expect, and just this kind of like overall atmosphere of there's something out there, there's something watching, you know, which I don't know, at least for me, I know that a lot of the Slender Man series, since I'm just so oversaturated with it, and also because I know all of the creators.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I know you guys, so it ruins the immersion completely.
Yeah, it kind of ruins the immersion. It's harder for you to get into the series, but especially...
Definitely harder to get scared by it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
But if you long for that kind of like the golden age or whatever, back when all these series were very active, then I definitely check out Experience of Evil and then Recordings YT.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, those are two that I've never actually watched. I've heard of one of them through you. Actually, both of them.
Hey, I got something I want to talk about.
Throw it at us.
In terms of internet horror. Specifically, the written kind of internet horror.
Ooh, speaking of creepypasta?
Yes.
What?
The spooky kind of noodles.
Is that something I can order at the Olive Garden?
Yeah, sure is.
Fantastic.
Everything at Olive Garden is creepypasta because Olive Garden sucks.
Hey, you know what? Their breadsticks are alright.
Hey, I like Olive Garden.
Yeah, you know what? They get a lot of trash, but you get what you pay for and what you expect.
I like sodium and fat and sugar.
Garlic and butter.
Guess what? They got plenty of it.
Anyway,
please.
Hey, creepypastas are the name comes from copy pastas, where it's copy and paste. Except it's creepy stories that you copy and paste around the internet. And there's a lot of them. I
actually did not know that.
Really?
No.
Is that not where
I had no clue.
Yeah.
What did you think creepypasta
Nothing.
was then?
I thought it was nonsense.
No, it's copy pasta.
Copy pasta.
And I know copy
it's
pasta.
the creepy versions of copy pasta.
I didn't know that. See, that is how removed. I tried to stay so far removed from the internet while also creating on the internet.
To be fair, creepypastas, most of them are garbage. Most. I say most.
Yes. Well, the ones that I have
there's a
read
lot out there.
are pretty good.
There's a lot out there. And granted, there's some really popular ones, and the really popular ones are oftentimes the really good ones.
Right.
And then, except for Jeff the Killer, because that's complete trash.
Hey, that one's fantastic.
Vin.
Jeff the Killer. Everyone
Vin.
read it right now.
You never read it?
No, I said everyone read it right now.
Don't read it.
Stop listening
Please
to
don't.
us.
It's
read it.
it's the equivalent of a middle school revenge fantasy. Okay, anyway, I'm getting off topic. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of really bad ones because there's a ton of saturation. A lot of them are written by like 12-year-olds and they're not exactly well written. They're really, some of them are borderline like laughable and troll pasta.
Some of them, exactly. Some of them are actually just troll.
The
pasta.
Day of All the Blood, for instance.
which is
Look
one
it
of
up.
my
That was
favorite
actually great.
creepypastas.
That and like Who Was Phone.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Who Was
Yeah.
Phone?
Who Was
Classic era.
Phone?
Oh, geez.
But
And also, if you don't feel like reading, The Day with all this blood was also turned into a Gary's Mod machinima, which is
The Day of All
art
the
house
Blood
level.
is
It's great.
incredible.
The Day of All the Blood. Yeah.
Yeah, look that one up. But so there's also really great ones out there. The Rake, which I do my series based around, is really great.
Yeah, very.
'Cause it's done in the vein of like a series of just like excerpts from different accounts throughout time about the same creature that's existed
Very
forever.
tense. Very tense.
Really well done. The Russian Sleep Experiment. I know Chris
Ooh.
loves that one.
I do enjoy that one.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool.
I think that one goes a little too far by the end, but overall,
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I think the ending kind of ruins it, but I love the premise.
Yeah.
Well, because
Yes.
premise wise, there's nothing about it that's super unrealistic. Because that is the kind of shit that people would pull.
Yeah.
I mean, once you get onto all the crazy gore shit, then it gets out a little crazy. But the idea
Yeah.
of human testing,
Even that I could give a plausible.
Yeah.
well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like all the human testing and stuff, that's completely legit.
Right. I
That's
do
stuff
agree that
people
the
would-
ending sort of betrays the rest of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sure does, which we won't get into, but
But there are
does.
three that I particularly wanted to touch on. Candle Cove, which
Oh, yeah.
is excellent.
Excellent.
Candle Cove is also the inspiration for Channel Zero Season 1, Candle Cove.
Yes,
just
which
so
is
you know.
incredible.
Awesome.
Great
Watch that
show.
show.
Awesome
Sci-fi
show on
show.
Sci-Fi.
Awesome show. Yes.
Candle Cove is amazing. Smile Dog is also a very good one.
Yeah.
I think there's like
Many
a bunch of
people
different variations
disagree.
on it, but the original one,
Yep.
I don't know why people disagree because honestly, the original story is really eerie because it's presented from a very academic standpoint, and I think that's awesome. Anything that's doesn't go too far with how crazy it gets.
Right.
Like I hate things that just turn into fucking shock horror. But like if you're just telling a creepypasta story and it's just hey. This is this thing. I'm telling you what I know about it.
Right.
The end. That's awesome. And then the one I personally love, which I mean that it is not presented in the same way, but it's called Funny Mouth.
Huh.
It's very interesting. It's a really creepy. It's just an eerie like story. It's a dude he's in like a chat room with his business buddies, and some strange user joins the chat and is just posting all these weird like borderline comical things. Like, they're just very strange. Like what's wrong with this person? They're just and like all these typos.
Right.
And then this person starts experiencing all these weird dreams and weird like experiences around it. And the ending is just very, very well done. I think it's one of the better written stories I've ever read.
What was that
especially
called again?
Funny Mouth. One
Funny
word.
Mouth.
Funny
I've
Mouth.
never heard of that one.
Yeah,
And
me either.
for a while, it had a tie-in website because
Interesting.
The,
That's cool.
the character of Funny Mouth, the user that joins the thing, continually references a website called blood.com, BLUUD.com. And in the story, when the narrator goes to it, it's a picture of a face created out of binary code. And for a while, that website actually existed, and that brought you to that page, and it's very eerie. And
very
they
cool.
finally got taken.
That
Like
is cool.
the hosting finally
Right,
went out
right.
on it. But
Does anybody remember the Seed Eater?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to incorporate that into Dark Harvest for a little while, believe it or not.
that would have been cool.
That would
Yeah, I
be
was
pretty cool.
like, yeah, because I loved the Seed Eater. I thought it was so fascinating. I know there was a web series actually.
Yeah.
Do some research.
Seed Eater Experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it
Yeah.
called?
Seed Eater Experiences.
Yeah.
Your experience makes sense.
Yeah,
The only thing I
which was
remember of
interesting.
it is the recording of the sounds from the driving car looking out into the woods, and it's like a rainstorm. The car's driving,
Yep.
it's like looking out into the woods,
That's
and you hear the
also what I
sounds
remember.
coming from the woods. Because that is an awesome video.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing that, I'm like, that is it's so subtle and it's
I don't
so
know.
well done.
I don't know if that ever went anywhere.
It didn't,
because-
I don't think.
Yeah, probably not.
It was a
but-
blog though too.
Yes, it was a blog. It was a blog with a video series tie-in.
Yes.
But that's another talk about going back a ways.
Yes.
Yeah. But it really cool. And I personally
never
I
took
would
off.
love to. No, I would love to see something done with the Seed Eater in the
Same,
future because I
same.
think it's a
I
really
know actually
cool.
sci-fi
Evan,
property.
Evan included Seed Eater in his thing
Oh really?
for an episode or two. Yeah.
Oh nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So that was a nice little trip down horror
Yeah.
web lane.
I love internet horror.
Yeah,
I
no,
do.
we should have a part 2 where we can really delve into
Oh
some
yeah,
more of these.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Because really, that's where we live.
Yeah.
We
Sure.
True.
create, we consume. We live, we die on the internet.
We adapt, we survive.
Yeah, we adapt, we survive. That being said, we are going to get off of the internet now. We are going to sign off, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Yes, as we do for now. We are here next week, hopefully, unless we get canceled by
Cults or something
cults
crazy.
or the internet,
Yeah,
or our producers. But hey, guess what?
We're
not going to cancel ourselves.
Ain't got none of those.
So, Chris, tell them what they can do if they want to talk to us.
If you want to talk to us, you can email us at ritterhouseproductions@gmail.com.
Yes.
You can send us your suggestions. You can send us fan mail. You can send us regular mail. You can send us hate mail if you really want to.
You can't send
We
regular
don't
mail to
suggest
the
it.
internet.
Speaking of internet horror, can we bring back chain emails?
Yes.
Like the horror
Send
ones,
us
like
some
you
chain
will
emails.
die if you don't send
Yeah.
it to 20 people.
Send us some of those.
We need a
some
really
chain
good story
emails?
though. Don't just send us send it to your grandma.
Yeah, no,
you
don't
know.
be like make it like something actually good. Don't just be like there was a little girl who died and
Yes.
she'll kill you in your sleep.
We'll do a
Tell us
dramatic
story.
reading of the best one.
Yo, yeah. Actually, I like that.
That's not a bad
I like
idea.
that idea.
Let's
Good suggestion.
send
We'll
us
do
some
it. We'll do it.
good chain emails.
Send us some
original.
good fan fiction of the three
Don't
of us.
just copy pasta. No, please don't.
Wait.
No more fan fiction. I've had tons of it and I'm done.
It'll be
All right,
great.
everybody. Signing off for RitterCast, a Ritter House production. I am Vin.
I'm Chris.
I'm Lee.
Have a good evening.
Night, guys.